Hey, no worries. We're on. Now we got sound. Okay, that was a problem, but we're solving it and we're
We
here.
had a great conversation.
We did. Me and Andrew were just prepping.
We was having fun.
Okay, now that you can hear us, how are you feeling 1 out of 10? Now that you're here. That's a little misser upper. You're still feeling an 8 out of 10 though?
Oh yeah, feeling an 8 out of 10. How you
Okay.
feeling?
I'm feeling a good 9. I just got back from the church. I was doing a couple of projects for 3 hours. So while you were doing your teaching, I was sitting down doing some focus work. So that was a good time.
That's awesome. What was something you got done that you're very excited to have done? A project, an item, something you're doing?
I mean, to be honest, I sat down and built this whole structure for today, where we're going to be talking about how we manage our time as business owners and really our methodology for time management.
Yeah.
I am in the process and in the midst of continually learning how to better manage my time. And I had it down pretty good to a T. And then we decided to do this 365-day live stream where it takes, I don't like just spending 30 minutes on prepping a topic.
No,
I like to go deep in actually creating something really good. So we have a structure and also making sure that the first 5 minutes of the live is not muted. But next time, tomorrow, we're going to fix that.
I think looking at this, Leo, and preparing for this, like you are and like we are, it's fun to me because we get to put our efforts, something called diminishing returns. It's sometimes actually it's right in alignment with what we're talking about today. Sometimes it's easy to get so busy, and it's like I'm doing this thing, and I got to get this done, and I got to get that. And before long, we find ourselves doing a little bit of a lot of things, but hanging around masterminds and people who are 7 and 8 and even 9-figure people, you start to realize that it's not that they do a little bit of everything. It's that they get good at things and they know how to manage and focus. And I think managing our focus, especially now with thousands of messages coming through on social media, thousands of things for us to do and that attract our time, is more than ever having a superpower of managing our focus can really streamline our path forward and put us where we want to be headed. Because otherwise, it's just kind of like we're flowing. In 5 years, we wind up to wherever the algorithm chooses.
So that brings us to the topic of how me and Andrew, how we manage our time as business owners. So most people think that time management is about working harder, working longer hours. But the truth is that we're going to uncover today is that it's about managing your energy and having a proper system that makes success easier and inevitable for you. So today we're going to show you exactly how we manage our time as business owners. So you could do the same thing for your life, for your health, and your business. And we call this method the MIDAS Method. So we're going to be breaking it down, starting with the big problem. Andrew, if you want to start with problem number 1.
First off, we should tell them what MIDAS are.
We'll get into it.
Cool.
We'll get into
We'll
MIDAS in a second.
for now. So action number 1 for you, I want to point out, manage your energy. Leo's already said this. Start with your most important daily action. Start with your daily action steps. What is it you need to do today that will move the needle on where you want to go? So every day, write down 3 high priority tasks. You want to break those down, what those 3 high priority tasks are?
Yeah, so we went ahead quite a bit on this. We'll go back to the main problems that we have going on, and then we'll go into the MIDAS method. So the biggest thing that, me and Andrew have always had a challenge with in the past was we always focused on busy work. We always put our energy in small minutia items that were not moving us forward, were not moving the needle forward. So instead of focusing on the busy work, we say to focus on those needle movers, which we'll go over in just a minute. The next biggest problem is that you're not managing your energy. You are focusing on trying to get things done at the perfect time and hoping that you can get a project done in 60 minutes, or you put a 30-minute task and hope that you can get that thing done in 30 minutes, rather than focusing on your peak energy times. For example, in the mornings, you have more energy. Maybe at night, you know that after dinner, you're a little bit groggy, but when 6 p.m. hits, you have another wind to you. Or knowing that 1 to 2 p.m. after lunch, you're a little bit groggy, so you don't put your highest priority tasks there.
Let's find out who's our morning people and who's our night owls. If you're a morning person, type in the chat morning. If you're one of our night owls, type in the chat night. I want to see who we got here. Morning people and our night owls. And that's something, Leo, till we started working together, I had never thought of. Because, like, to me, it was just like, I need to get crap done that I need to get done. And I didn't ever think of, gosh, my energy is way better and way more focused in the morning. My energy right after lunch usually dwindles just a little bit. And so you bringing that to my attention, that we can really find our flow, because every one of us is a little different. We can find our flow of energy and lean into that, utilize that knowledge to make progress go faster.
Absolutely. And the next big challenge is that you don't currently have a system. I used to rely completely on motivation and hoping that my willpower will last long enough so I can do these high priority tasks at like 3, 4 p.m. But then I realized day after day after day after day, my motivation, quote unquote, would run out, and 3 p.m. I would get tired, and I had not built the discipline to do the hard work after the morning rush. The morning rush for me is when I have the most energy. So this system that we're about to show you is going to break down the capacity and the ability for you to actually take your life, your personality, your energy levels, and create a system behind it. So now, Andrew, we can go break down the MIDAS method.
Perfect. And forgive me, I misread our notes there. So I think it's important, and I love the way you laid this out, because identifying that is something I think we can all relate to. Just really getting caught up in that busyness and being able to now, if you're taking notes, write it down. Write down 3 high priority tasks every single day that will move the needle forward. What is your MIDAS, your most important daily action steps that will move the needle in your life and business? For me, it is usually something to do with a event, a training, a sales calls, closing deals. It's some big thing that I need to knock out today. It is a item that may not even be very long. I just got off the phone a moment ago with our lender on the land project. We're closing on that second land deal here in a few days.
Right.
And talking to him moves the needle forward, right, on getting a deal done, getting something closed that we're working on, except the conversation was like 3 minutes. And so that is a needle moving action for that project. Something else for me is daily exercise. And it's very important to know where we are. Something that I decided at the beginning of the year, as some of you know, Leo helped me lose 45 pounds here a couple of years ago. And I started working out every day. At the beginning of this year, I said, we're building a project. It's going to take a ton of focus. So while I am going to continue to eat healthy and be very disciplined, I'm okay if it takes me a little bit longer to get to my next level of health goal, a physical goal, of strength goal, as long as I get this project built out and I maintain being healthy, eating healthy, and exercise. So this morning, knowing we have meetings starting early, I went for a run and didn't do the gym. So that was one of my MIDAS for my health, going for a morning run, making sure, may hit the gym later, who knows, but making sure that I get movement in, even though that I didn't take the time and didn't plan to have the time today to go get an hour full-fledged workout in.
So what I want you guys to do is, as you're thinking of your MIDAS, your most important daily action steps, mark these tasks on your calendar as non-negotiables. Now let's talk about non-negotiables. My words are all over the place right now. And let me actually take a second before I keep going to say in these days, because honestly, as we're doing these, I just want you guys to know where me and Andrew are
Yeah.
and in our business, because you'll start to see why our energy is a certain way. Andrew just got off of doing 3 hours of trainings, and I just finished this 30 minutes ago. So, grounding myself for a minute here live as we reset. And I do this for myself because, or otherwise, the next 30 minutes it's going to be all over the place.
And to point out, just commending you for taking that moment, Leo, to do that. Because I remember the first time I got up to speak and I felt nervous. And I was so nervous. And then rather than just being comfortable, being transparent, saying, wait a second, let me get this together here. Rather than just being that transparent, I felt the need to rush forward and just get that done and to share what I was going to share and that energy transferred through.
Right.
And everyone knew I was nervous. Everyone could tell that I was terrified. And so taking that moment, and there's something about that authenticity to say, hey, I'm writing down my MIDAS. Yes, I'm going to move the needle on my business today. Yes, I'm going to do a personal growth thing today. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to do something for my health today. I'm going to go for a run. But also being willing to know yourself. And while we do, yes, constantly push ourselves past what we believed our limits to be, there's not a thing wrong with taking that moment to say, hey, let me catch a breath. Let me book out an extra 10 minutes before a meeting and get where I need to go. Let me do a quick meditation. There's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes there is way more productivity in taking that moment of transparency, Leo, than there is just, quote, pressing through it. So I love that.
Absolutely. So back to the MIDAS method. This is something in these moments when there's so much going on in the business that even we sit down in the morning and say, okay, we have so much going on, but what are the main things that we have to get done? We know that we're going to get this live stream done and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know one of the most important things is that I get this paper done and I make sure to study, I make sure to research, and I make sure to put this down on paper so we get it, we get the path forward. Yesterday, we talked about momentum and doing things imperfectly, right? Something I'm getting over is the perfectionism mindset. If here's how my mind works. If I see something was not perfect in the exact way that it was done, my brain switches off for a minute and I'm not here anymore. I'm like, uh-oh, it was not perfect. So this is just, as we talked about, the way that we're every day getting better and improving, because I'm learning that just because it wasn't perfect, we can keep going.
So I want to ask you guys, put a quick virtual hand or thank you in the chat if Leo's transparency of getting over the perfection challenge is something you can relate to. Give a virtual hand clap in the chat or a thank you. And I want that to be the reminder for us, because not everything goes as planned. And for yourself, and as you're sharing this time with us, behind the scenes, as I say, knowing that not everything is perfect, yet if we don't give our gift, we'll never have the impact we were meant to have. And my desire is that this inspires you to continue doing the thing that you want to do, need to do, knowing that it's not perfect. So let's see if we're getting lots of thank yous and virtual hand claps in the chat. We're getting lots of them, Leo. They're showing the love and the support. This is awesome. All right, keep them coming.
Awesome. So, well, thank you. Thank you. Step 2, after we identify our MIDAS, is we time block for deep work. Now, let me explain this in a way that will really show how important it is to get this deep work in through our experience. Because over the past couple of days, I've started to realize that I'm still somebody who goes through the day to day and who gets pulled in by distraction, right? Social media, it is meant to make you fail. It is meant to make you go into distraction. And what I mean by fail is that they've paid millions and millions and millions and millions and millions, billions of dollars to get you trapped into an algorithm which distracts you, which takes away your focus. And I've noticed that in 2024, although we got so much done in our business, we did more deals, we did more business, we crushed it in different areas, I was still distracted in so many areas, which made me sit back and say, wow, how much more can we do in 2025 if I just learned to do the simple, deep work and was able to block out 90 minutes without my phone and just knock the thing I need to do, knock my Midas out every day. In 365 days of that, imagine how much you're going to get done. And I say it in this format because I'm kind of saying this to myself here, where if we just block out one 60 to 90 minute block each day without our phone, and we focus on one of the Midas, one of the most important daily action steps that will move your business forward,
It's huge.
then we start to build the true discipline and mental focus that requires us to do great things. But sometimes, and I say sometimes as myself, it's easier to talk about doing great things. It's easy to build a reputation off of saying that you're going to do hard things and you're going to build great things. But it's one of the most difficult things to actually block out the time every single day for 365 days, or call it 340 days, to actually get that thing done. And by the end of the year, look back and say, wow, I built this. I was not distracted, and I'm proud of what we have built.
I think operating by that is something that we get the nitty gritty on, and it's not easy to do. If you have had trouble operating based on your calendar and you have struggled with distractions, give me a I in the chat, an I in the chat. I want to see who all here is struggling with this. Because for me, when I heard time block, I'm like, but my team needs me. But what if the seller calls and it was a $100,000 deal and I lose it because I wasn't available for that 60 minutes? And I felt the need to be on 24/7 because we always have a reason, in quotations, a reason why we have to be available. I used to say, don't call me to my tenants. Don't call me in the evenings or the weekends unless a house is burning down. And then I got a call at 1 a.m. one morning, and the trailer park was burning down a few years ago. And I realized the fire department showed up. I got out of bed, drove over to the 66-unit mobile home park we had at the time, and watched the police and the fire trucks put out the fire and went back home. And I said, wait a second. I didn't even need to be there. I went there and watched them do what they was going to do anyway. And so I shared that because some of the things we constitute in our minds as emergencies, I have to do this, actually don't even need us. The things we must do for our families, for our legacy, for building is move the needle. I think of it as, remember time you sat down and you write the email and you started and you was like, but I need to text this guy. But I need to call, but oh shoot, I was going to talk to you, Leo, about this. And, but I need to make sure that camera's working and chart. And we start, our mind goes to 17 things. And 60 minutes later, we started the email, we started the conversation, we took the call, we started the text that we may have left in drafts and forgot to send. And we haven't really accomplished that much. But when I can sit down for 60 minutes and lay out the project or do seller calls, or respond to a series of emails, that 60 to 90 minutes can get as much work done as many people get done in a full day. It's like a secret hack for your time. People of wealth, rich people, don't have more than 24 hours. There's no secret hack to living 28 hours a day. Some people, you hear them say, I just need more hours in the day. No, we have to just better manage the energy and focus that we do have.
So how do we do that, though? How do we manage our energy and get to a place where we understand that, okay, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'm typically pretty good energy. I can get a lot done here. And then after I eat lunch, I get a little bit groggy. And then how do we get to a place where we know those times, we know our energy levels, and we know we can get so much done in these set amount of times?
I think it is, one, know yourself. Just review. Most days, you notice at 5 a.m., you're either, if you've been getting up early, you're either wide awake or you're still struggling. You notice at right after lunch, you're either wide awake or you're struggling. So you just start viewing those peaks. Do it the next 3 days. View the peaks of your days, your peak energy. And then secondly, clarity of where you're headed. We talk a lot about this. We talked about momentum yesterday. And as you know where you're headed, we have a very clear vision laid out, where we're taking this business and what we're building. And as you know where you're headed, now you can put effort into getting there. But if I said, I'm going to go for a drive and I'm going to drive 80 miles an hour and we'll see where I end up, well, that's kind of stupid. But if I know I am going specifically to X place to accomplish X result, I can get in the car and I can drive as fast as legally and safely possible, and I can arrive rapidly. So it's very much about knowing where you're headed and having clarity of what you're trying to accomplish during this time period.
So a little bit about what our blocks look like. For example, we both wake up at around 5 a.m. and that is our block for our morning. That's our time to be grounded. That's our time to read. That's our personal development time, going to the gym. After the gym, everything's done. Then we're back in what, around 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Between 8 and 9?
So then for myself, 9 to 11 is just creative writing. This is where I write content. This is where I write this, ready for these daily lives. And I just sit down and do that deep work. I put my phone aside. I set a timer for 90 minutes and I just knock that out every single day. And I've continued to build this habit where sometimes I fall off because something happens. Me and Andrew have to tackle a meeting or we have a fire to put out. Speaking of fires, LA is currently on fire and we are praying for them. My sister is actually really close to there, but we're praying for all the people who are in LA. And if you're in there, I'm praying for you, and in the chat, pray for all those people as well. But we'll wake up and sometimes we'll just put out fires, and that will throw us off of our game. But if we realize this idea, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but if we realize this idea of flexibility within structure, then we can start to feel that we always have a place to come back to. So many times we don't actually create a structure for ourselves in our time where we'll take action, we'll go put out fires, and then we'll get pissed off because one thing in our calendar is messed up. And that's something I used to do so many times where I would have a 2-hour block, and if one thing messed it up, then I would have to start over. I would skip it. But now I've started to understand flexibility within structure. You create a structure that works for you based on your energy, based on where you are. And then as things come up, you're okay to move it. You're okay to move those things around. What are your thoughts on that, Drew?
I think that is for our people who are less organized, right? We may struggle, you may struggle to stick to the calendar. And then for our people that are more rigid and love to stick to calendars, we have trouble with that flexibility inside of structure. And so it's finding that balance of saying, you know what, if the seller calls and if I have a $100,000 deal that needs to be closed, sure, maybe I can move a meeting one time a month in order to make sure I go get this deal wrapped up. So there's nothing wrong with having that flexibility. But to be on 24/7 because somebody one day might need you for something is also unsustainable. And back to clarity of where am I headed? What's my role in my company? If you're running a company, if you're running a real estate investing business, for example, and it's your company, you're responsible for the revenue, you're responsible for the whole thing. Your objective is to say, okay, how can I delegate the majority of lower level tasks, talking to pre-screening sellers and buyers, for example? How can I delegate somebody to run most of my QuickBooks? How can I delegate for someone to make sure that I'm getting consistent lead flow coming in? And at the same time, ensure that my focus time is doing the high income activities. Type it in the chat. Whack the MWAs. MWAs. What's an MWA? The minimum wage activities. I want you to get rid of those and to focus your time on the high income activities.
So that leads us to step number 3. And I want to break this down one more time so you guys get this piece, is that I want you to start managing your energy by having consistency in your sleep, consistency in your meals, consistency in your workouts, and consistency in everything that you do so your body works with you, not against you. One of the biggest things that me and Andrew have learned is that when we have our lunches, our dinners, our sleep, our workouts all at least in a structure, our bodies start to get used to that. And it gets us in a mode ready to work and ready to do the things that we need to do. So while my sleep is not perfect, I do my very best to have 8 to 9 p.m. to reflect before I go to sleep so that my body gets tired. My body naturally gets in a mode ready to sleep, ready to shut off. So I'm not solving problems the whole night as I'm sleeping and getting nightmares about all the things that I have to do, which is what I used to have. And then one of the most important things is the same time to wake up every morning. Me and Andrew, it's about 5 a.m. Andrew's a bit more consistent than I am on it. He'll wake up at 4:30 before the alarm sometimes, but I'm around 5 to 5:30 and my body gets used to it. So when the alarm hits, I'm ready to go. I wasn't a morning person before, but I'm a trained morning person where you set the alarm and
Yeah.
on the iPhone you can make it where you can't snooze it. And you put the phone, guys, 5 feet away from you or in another room. So you got to get up out of that cold ass bed and you either shiver, put your stuff on and you go throughout your day, or you get back in bed. And it's a fight every single day, but if you can just keep winning that morning and building that consistency, and you do that with everything else in your calendar, like your lunches, like your workouts, then you're going to start to feel this momentum of, okay, things are easier. My willpower does not have to be exhausted so much because now it is part of my routine to go to the gym. And I've been doing it for 3 weeks. And it takes maybe this much willpower than it does the first time you go, where it takes almost all of your willpower to actually go to the gym.
You made me think of the book Atomic Habits. Such a great book.
Amazing book.
I changed my strategy totally when you convinced me to start getting up real early. And I started every morning getting up early. By the way, I have a mental clock. Who can relate to the mental internal clock? Once you start doing it consistently, you just wake up that time every morning. Give me a yes in the chat. Uh, for each of you, you can literally train yourself to do this. So what I did was I used to get up every morning and it's like, oh my gosh, you have that feeling like everything in your body goes just 5 more minutes. Just go back to bed for 5 more minutes. And then you're like, oh crap, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours later, you're waking up and your 5 minutes is gone. So I started keeping a bottle of water by my bed. When I wake up, the alarm goes off. I say, I don't have to get up or do anything. Maybe get up, go to the bathroom or whatever, but I have to grab that bottle of water and drink it all. I can't lay back down until I drink the bottle of water. And now, by the time I've drunk the bottle of water, it's like, crap. Usually, might as well go pee too now. And so I get up, you chugged a bottle of water, you've walked for a few seconds, and now you're not really as tired anymore. So you're removing the things that used to be, and this is how it is when you're making money, the things that used to slow you down. You used to go to pick up the phone to make the sales call, and you go, crap, what if they say no? You go, well, I don't have to know the answer. I'm just going to make the call. And then you go, well, gosh, I gave them a good answer. I guess I might as well go ahead and close the deal now. Well, they said, yes, I'll sell you the house with no money down. I guess I might as well figure out how to send them a contract now. And so that's the steps that I take when I'm doing this thing to better manage my focus, to better manage my energy, and to set myself up for success. So it's no longer a tough decision at 5 a.m. of should I go ahead and get up? It's that decision I made the day before that I'm going to wake up, I'm going to chug the water, and I'm going to then start my day.
So, Andrew, what if some people say, I just don't have enough time? There's not enough time in the day. I feel like I'm so busy. Things are going on. There's no way I can do any of this. There's no way I can build this. What is your response to people who say, I don't have enough time?
First, I would say, I like what you wrote, become a master of your calendar and watch how it transforms your life. For those who say they don't have enough time, I ask you, think of a billionaire. Think of someone you know who you have a lot of respect for in finances and ask yourself, do they have more time than you? And the answer obviously is they don't have more time than you. Everybody has the same 24 hours. Now, plenty of people have figured out how to better use it, but nobody has more time. So if everybody is held at gunpoint with this thing called time, but others have figured out how to better use it, then how can I become better at using my time? I understand we always have a reason or excuse of something to do. We always have a reason, but I know people who have gone through much more difficult things than me who have figured out how to still get a tremendous amount of things done in the time that they do have. So if someone going through more than you has figured out how to use their time more effectively than you to accomplish a result similar to what you want to accomplish, then perhaps it's looking at that person and saying, what did they do that I can learn from and emulate?
Absolutely. So now, next thing, what happens when people say, Andrew, what happens when life interrupts? I got kids, I got a family, and kids are always coming in. I got to take the kids here, take the kids here. I got this, I got that going on. Life keeps interrupting. What do I do?
So we have a lot of people inside our mastermind who have kids. I learned so much from you guys who are in the mastermind and have kids. And I just noticed that you can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. And I see people who like Chad has 9 kids. Every reason in the book by some people's standards to say, I don't have time to do this, except he's still out cranking deals. It may be 9 or 10 o'clock at night when he texts me looking for help on a deal, but he's still out cranking deals. Why? Because he doesn't make excuses. He says, I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to take the action, and I'm going to make this happen for my family. And so I would challenge you to reverse that and say, if I don't have time to do it, is it unimportant to me? If it's unimportant to me, then probably you shouldn't be doing it. Yet you're here, and if you have time to do it, then you absolutely should be putting full focus and effort in. If I could challenge you to one thing in 2025, it would be to say yes to the right things, to put full focus, effort, and energy in those things, and to watch it transform your life. Because if you put 10% energy into 25 things, you're going to always feel stretched too thin. But if you say, hey, this is the path I'm going to follow. When I started, I found a mentor. I found someone who was doing deals at a capacity like I wanted to, and I went and just emulated the heck out of what they was doing until I had enough money to free up more time to then go do more opportunities. And so say, who is the thing I can follow? What is the thing I can do that will allow me the freedom, the time and financial freedom to then free up my time? Now I don't have to say I don't have time no more.
That's really good. And it allows us to not have the excuse that I don't have time or I don't have a structure. Because really now you have a MIDAS method. You have this idea that, hey, I can write down the 3 main things that I need to do today for my business, for my health, and my personal development. And I really, along with Andrew's challenge, I challenge you and urge you this year, 2025, to make sure that you develop the discipline that you wish you've always had. And that next year, 2026, you look back and you say, yeah, 2025, it was a year of hard work. It was a year of doing more than I speak. And it was a year of really looking at my MIDAS every day and just getting them done. Because that was the year that you built so much discipline.
Yeah.
So many of the things that you want to do just requires this word that they say so often of discipline, but this is the formula of doing it. But we go back to day 4 and 5, right? We talked about in day 4, not being so overwhelmed. We talk about this idea of don't try to do every single thing all in once. Yeah. You're not going to be the most disciplined person in one day. It's going to require you to apply Kaizen, this idea of constant and never-ending improvement, which is just step by step by step getting 1% better. And that's how you build massive momentum. And the same thing happens with your time management. The one thing that me and Andrew don't want is that you listen to this and you start to say, okay, I know there's a lot to do. There's a lot to get done. Yeah. We're talking about a framework yesterday and a framework today. How do I implement all of this? What do you have to say to the people who are a little bit overwhelmed right now about how much value they're getting in a daily life like this?
I say chunk it down. Try one thing. What's the one thing I can do? Write this down. Type it in the chat. Needle moving action. What is the needle moving action I can do? What is the thing that I just heard today that I can immediately go put into practice? If you said, hey, my most important daily health action is I need to move. Some is better than none. Go for a walk. If you can't go for an hour, go for 10 minutes.
Type in the chat what your needle moving activity is.
If your needle moving action in business is saying, gosh, I just need to make calls, then put it down today. Say, this week, I commit to having, and I prefer it's more, but start with something, one conversation a day. I'm going to sit down at whatever time I can, and I'm going to have one meaningful conversation with a deal, potential deal, with a seller. Figure out what that needle moving action is. You showed up here today because you see there's value and potential for your growth, more money, more time freedom, and the ability to get to the next level. And taking away something, just ask yourself, what's one thing I can implement? Maybe it's saying, hey, shoot, I've been going back to bed of a morning. I'm going to chug a bottle of water like he does. But what's that needle moving action for you?
There's a constant theme that we talk about here on Life by Design on this daily live, and it is the fact that you are all becoming a greater version of yourself, but it's happening through step by step by step action. Just every day taking a little bit of action. It doesn't have to be this huge, monstrous thing that you're doing every single day. All it has to be is showing up. Just like you're showing up here on Life by Design, just like me and Andrew are showing up and doing and preparing a paper, preparing these notes from our life and presenting it with you. And there's days like today where I'll say myself, I think maybe you have a little bit more energy, where I am so tired, but still showing up and doing the best that we can. Because in the moments that we are tired, in the moments that we're lost, in the moments that we're afraid, and we still show up, that is where we have an absolute breakthrough of character.
Yeah.
And that's where we have an absolute breakthrough of looking at ourselves and saying, okay, if I was able to do it on this down day, look at all these good days that are happening. I better do some more things. I better stack on this momentum. And that's what we start to realize on the spectrum of good days and bad days, you can still get the thing done. That means in 365 days, you can have so much done in a year where you look back again and you're so proud of the discipline that you made because you'll always, always, always now have that discipline.
And I think it's important to credit yourself. You know, you're here. You're taking notes. You're going to take the action. You're gathering the information, and make sure that you just put the value on showing up that there really is. You know, yes, showing up to this live and doing nothing with the information alone isn't good enough. Do something with it. And at the same time, I find it interesting. I find people sometimes who just simply are really good at putting themselves in the right places at the right times. And by being in the right room around the right people, it can be the difference between closing the $1 million deal or missing the $1 million deal. It can be the difference between raising the $5 million of funding for a deal or losing out. All of that can happen because you're in the right place with the right people. So make sure that you are learning the foundation, the framework of, I think time management is a good way to look at it. Another way that I've heard it or look at it sometimes is we can't that well manage our time because it's time, right? It goes on. It's priority and focus management. We can absolutely choose where does our focus go right now. I can't listen to what Leo's saying and also text this person and also watch what's going on over there. I'm here now and I am fully focused and I'm hearing what you have to say. Then I'm sharing a thought. And I think that's important to understand that focus and energy management aspect because that is the greatest tool. You know, when you're in a ship and the wind is blowing and the sail's up, what's more effective? To get oars and row against the wind, right? You can work really freaking hard, or to manage the wind, so to speak, put the sails up in the right direction and go with that flow. And so figure out what that flow is for you and step into it.
This is so good, and it's teaching me right now a really important lesson that I think I need to learn. And I want to share with you guys because I think that this is what it's all about. As me and Andrew are learning different lessons, as we're discovering different things, it's just being able to share what's going on and be able to teach. But just like you said, when you're focusing on multiple things at once, you can't focus on the one thing that you're trying to do.
Right.
When we started this and it was a 3 minutes of no volume, and then we weren't on the same page on the pages, right? My mind went complete elsewhere. So what happened was I would put the camera back on you the entire time, and what you guys didn't see was I was sitting here and like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing the blah, all these different thoughts. And as Andrew was talking, the camera was on him. It was like this. I just sat there and I was like, hold on, this is exactly the lesson that we're going through. If I keep thinking these thoughts and I keep looking at this paper that I don't need to even look at anymore, and I keep doing all these other things, then I'm not able to present properly and I'm not able to give the thoughts that I want to do. So we can look at that in our own lives and say, how many other things are we focused on than the one thing that we have in front of us? It really reminds me of social media. We'll have endless time where we're scrolling, we're scrolling, we're scrolling. 2 hours will go by and we'll realize that we could have used those 2 hours to really create a new offer or to do a couple seller calls and make 20, 30 grand. And it is not a fun place because we'll start to blame ourselves, which it really is our fault. But it also, if it is our fault, it becomes our responsibility to say, you know what, today is the day that I'm going to regain my focus.
Mm.
I'm going to take back what is mine. I'm going to take back my ability to do the things, to do the hard work, and combat social media, combat the algorithms. Watch our views go down because the algorithm stops pushing us out.
We love you, algorithm.
To combat
an FBI or an IRS, whoever.
We love all of it. We love all of it. Combat those forces that take away our energy and say, you know what? I'm going to take it back. And that is what I urge every single one of you guys to do. That is what I'm currently doing and continually trying to take my focus back. And that's what my year is going to be about. And Andrew, I think you're getting really good at the focus.
Working on it, growing every day.
Growing every day. And that's what we're doing this for. Any other thoughts before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I think we should give out an actionable, and just my prayer is, again, share this out, share it with your friends, share it with your family. We're building a base here. We're building a foundation for a reason. We're putting in our reps. I'm going to be talking to you a lot more here over the next couple of weeks, sharing the understanding of what we're building, not only the community that we're building, but the fund opportunities we're building, the money opportunities we're building, and the business workflows that we're building that are going to be huge for some of you. Some of you guys are going to step into it and use it to make an incredible amount of extra money. So in talking about that, I just challenge you to take the actionable we're about to give you and do it, and put in the small steps, show up, share this out, share it on your social medias, share it out everywhere, and keep showing up. Keep the comments on fire. But what's the actionable that everyone should take away from this before we wrap up, Leo?
I know we only got 1 minute left, but I don't answer this right here. While giving you the actionable, someone says, I have this problem staying focused, not because of social media, but because of fear. I'll tell you right now, and we'll give you the action step for all of you guys, is first, tonight, write down your MIDAS for tomorrow. Write
That's
down
huge.
Write down the things that you want to get done. It could be one, it could be two. Make it 1 to 3 things that you will get done tomorrow. When it comes to the fear, and me and Andrew are Andrew's about to hop onto another meeting, is this: we are always going to have a little bit of fear. We're always going to look at something and say, wow, what happens if I fail? What happens if this really screws up and it hurts me and it doesn't feel good? And I'll tell you from my experience, and Andrew can maybe tell you from his experience, is that it doesn't really go away. We kind of always have those fearful thoughts and the ideas of, okay, what if everything fails? I have a family to take care of. I have people to take care of. I have my health to take care of. Me and Andrew, we see people, unfortunately, lose their life sometimes because of unfortunate situations. So we're always, always, always having that fear. However, when you can simply take one step at a time in that fear, it becomes this courage that you build. And every step of the way, a little bit more courage is brought onto you. And then you do that enough times, just one little step at a time, you start to realize that the fear is never going to kill you. The fear only holds us back. And then you can become friends with that fear. You can become friends with those thoughts, which is really just you trying to protect yourself. Um, but you just take it one step at a time. And each of those steps, I promise you, gets easier and easier and easier. But you just have to take that first step. So tonight, write down your MIDAS, and tomorrow get them done.
I think it's to echo what you said, Leo. I think I used to believe that we would get to a position where there wouldn't be fear or there wouldn't be struggle. It's like if I had $1 million in the bank, if I just had 3 million, but well, shoot, that was what if I had 10 million in the bank? You know, and so there's these imaginary steps that we can tend to continue believing should come one day. And the moment we can, they will never come until we get the reps in here and know how to control that here at this level. And now when we know how to control our mind, when there's 1,000 people going to be seeing this over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Now, next year, later this year, when there's 20,000, when there's 100,000, then the building has happened. We've got the reps in now. But if we sit here going, gosh, I'll start when we have 100,000 people asked to hop on. I'll start when there's 100 people. So I want for each of you to just take that ownership and know that we are here now. We're not promised tomorrow. Let's be the best we can be to serve our mission today. And tomorrow, when that gift gets here, we're going to be even better for it.
Let's go. This was a good one.
This is great.
I think because we learned so much, it was a good one. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Hey, show up tomorrow, same time, same place, and we got a really good topic for you guys, and we're gonna keep rocking and rolling.
See you tomorrow.
Peace.
Bye for now, guys.
Bye, guys.